This is Football 401k.
Broadcasting on DallasCowboys.com and the official Dallas Cowboys app.
Now your hosts, Bo Repka and RJ Choppy.
Welcome to episode 4 of the Football 401k. I'm RJ Choppy from 105 through the Fan. He is Bo Repka of the Football Glory Hole, and it is time for a little bit of gambling action. We're going to get to a big 16 parlay in the Pizza Money Parlay. We have got the best bets in college football, some player props in the NFL. But first, Bo, let's take a look back at what happened last week in week 2 of the National Football League. We gave you 7 teams that that were going to go 4-3 blind. If you just bet these 7 teams blind, you would historically go 4-3. And I do believe we went 5-2 on those 7 teams, correct?
We did, so we beat history even 5-2.
Yeah, I like it when you beat history because that makes you the history maker. When you beat history, you become the history maker, and I like being the history maker because heroes get remembered, but legends never die. I was told that once by let's see, the ghost of Babe Ruth in The Sandlot, which my kid uses my kid used that as an actual quote in a book report on Babe Ruth, and I said I don't think you can use that one. He didn't say that. Technically, he didn't say it. That was in a movie. We can't go with that one. But
I mean, you never know.
You never know. Maybe he didn't say it. Who knows? I don't know how accurate the records were back in 1923. The record books, in terms of documenting what people actually said. If you were still using leeches to get sickness out of people, I'm not really going to trust what was going on back in the day. But let's just take a look back at last week. 5-2 in those 7 teams that we had pinpointed.
Yeah, the only 2 teams that did not cover were Atlanta and it was Jacksonville. And so, Choppy, just start with Atlanta. Like, how bad are the Falcons really?
Man, they're bad, dude. They're so bad that look, Matt Ryan is no longer at the age where he can overcome bad teams. He's not even going to put up the numbers that they used to. Like, he used to put up fantastic numbers even with bad teams. Yeah, he's old now. He's older, I should say. And maybe he will figure it out like Aaron Rodgers did as he got older, where he had a couple of down years. The difference is Rodgers was still winning games. Matt's just not anymore. And it's really kind of putting a stain on his entire career because people always look at the present to crap on the past.
Yeah, I mean, it's recency bias like anything else, right? He's like, oh, look at Matt Ryan. He never was any good. He only had the one year they went to the Super Bowl, and that's not true. The guy was, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL for a long time. And just like you said, it's not ending well for him in Atlanta. Maybe he gets to start somewhere else. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But let's talk about the 5 teams that did cover. So Tennessee did cover, and they won straight up. And remember, we did say that 3 teams would win straight up out of those 7 as well. Well, this is team number 1. And Choppy, my only question about that game is like, is Derrick Henry going to be the next Adrian Peterson, like this physical freak that just won't obey the rules of the 300+ carries for so many years and you just fall off a cliff? Like, he doesn't want to follow the rules. Like, this dude is a monster, and he just continues to do and put up monster numbers and just bowl over people year after year.
Look, year after year, I mean, that's what's going to happen. Every time, it depends on what team it is, right? But, there are a lot of times where you'll get a player, a quarterback, a team that has somebody's number. And then you're also going to get a team that, sometimes like, Atlanta, just take Atlanta, for example. I saw that they're 3-14 their first 8 games of a year since 2019. In the first 8 games, they'll have a good second half, but some teams own some others. Some quarterbacks play well against certain defenses, and some teams just can't start off hot at all.
Yeah, it's just kind of crazy, man. It's kind of crazy. Moving on to Indy. Indy did cover. They had plenty of chance to win that football game. Actually, they had 2 turnovers inside the 5-yard line. They were stopped on 4th and goal at the 1, and then Wentz somehow got intercepted on a shovel pass. Choppy, I didn't even know that was possible. I thought that was against the rules to intercept a shovel pass, honestly. That's why I thought it's never been done.
Yeah. It was such a bad play. And they win that game. If he doesn't do that pass, They win that game because they lost by 3. Was it an overtime? It wasn't over. It was regulation.
They didn't quite go to overtime, but the Rams choked it out right there at the end. They did lose by 3, so they did get the cover, and the Rams were just kind of hanging on to it. But, yeah, they had 2 turnovers inside the 5, and they had the ball again, with the chance to go down and score. Now, Wentz broke both of his ankles or whatever he did, so there was, some other guy in there, Eason, and he didn't do very well, so the Rams just kind of squatted on it from there. But they did have a legit chance to win that football game.
They did. They really did. The Rams should be 1-1. The Vikings should be 2-0. Yeah. Right? They should be 2-0.
We'll get to Minnesota. We will get to Minnesota. I promise you that. So Jacksonville is the other team that did not cover. Now they had a shot at the back door kind of early in the fourth quarter, but let's be honest, Choppy. And again, I preface it every time saying I'm not a scout, right? But Trevor Lawrence has looked terrible. He's dead last in EPA plus CPOE, and now it's 2 games, right? But at this point, Choppy, I'm looking around and like a Jalen Hurts is number 9 in that stat. Now against 2 games, and he won't finish top 10, but he's there right now, and he's basically a rookie. As far as experience, he's been there for a year, but he's only started 3-4 games. So if you look at playing time, and again, I'm not a scout, but I know that there wasn't a single scout on the planet or one on TV, not the Mel Kippers or the Todd McShay's, God rest his soul, whatever he's doing now. But none of them, not one, said that Trevor Lawrence or would say that Trevor Lawrence is not supremely more talented than Jalen Hurts. And it's not even, they're not even the same stratosphere. And again, that's according to their opinions, not mine. I'm not educated enough on it to have an opinion like that. But I'm left with, okay, it is a greater than 0% possibility that every scout on earth and every person on TV is wrong. It could happen, right?
Oh,
but there is zero chance.
It's not greater than 0%. It's like 40% with these guys.
True.
Even the best quarterbacks are going to have a 60% hit rate? Maybe, right? But when I look at these 2 guys play, Hurts isn't playing, like I said, he's playing decent right now. He didn't have such a good game last game. But I'm left, Choppy, and I'm wondering what you think. I have to ask you, do you think it is a combination of Urban Meyer being so far over his skis and the personnel, weighted one more than the other, versus the Eagles coaching staff, who is experienced, right, at least in the NFL, and they obviously do have a better roster. That Vegas told you that from the jump. So I'm just trying to put my finger, how could Trevor Lawrence look this bad, but yet in the same league, a guy like Jalen Hurts could have some at least moderate success in his first 5 or 6 starts? I don't understand it. Man, it's a great question. It's been 2 starts, I guess. And then don't forget, Jalen Hurts in his first 5 or 6 starts or whatever, it has spanned across 2 years. So he had an entire offseason because he didn't look very good last year. It's okay, but he looked great. No. He's looking much better this year. I don't ever want to make a determination on a quarterback after 2 games or after 2 years. That's just not me. But it is looking, after 2 weeks, and Trevor Lawrence has played, they haven't played world beaters, Houston and Denver.
No.
So, he has looked bad. Now, I wonder how much of it is Urban Meyer his system is just a collegiate system. I don't know. I really don't know. Here's what I do know. Urban Meyer, in his career, has coached 2 games with a talent disadvantage. And these are the last 2 weeks. When he was at Florida, he never had a talent disadvantage.
No.
At Ohio State, he never had a talent disadvantage. At Utah, he had the number 1 pick in the draft at quarterback.
That's very true. Very true. And I know he was, probably not in his conference, but at Bowling Green, he won at Bowling Green. Nobody wins at Bowling Green.
No, nobody wins at Bowling Green. But guess what? When you're playing in the MAC or the WAC or some of these other conferences, the talent level is relatively similar. It's a lot easier to outcoach your other guy. You're not playing the greatest coaches in the world. They're good coaches, but they're not it ain't Nick Saban. Shaka Smart found this out. He went from VCU. He was dominating. And he goes to Texas. Well, in the Big 12, you've got 8 coaches that are just as good as you are. So, I can see a coach like Urban Meyer dominating at Bowling Green or doing well, and then going over to Utah and doing well in the Mountain West.
Yeah.
Or whatever they were at the time.
That's a great point. So that's kind of reminds me of that kind of reminds me of like Matt Rule, right? At Temple, he was such a beast. He just beat them, beat that conference unmercifully. He gets promoted to Baylor. All of a sudden, boom, Baylor's back on the map. But that, like you said, that's a one in a special guy that's going to ascend and not stay at those ranks. So that's a great point.
And Matt Rule's doing fantastic work at Carolina.
Oh, go ahead.
And Matt Rule's doing great at Carolina. So, I mean, this is a coach that is going to be fine no matter where he goes. And Urban will probably be fine. Matt Rule did have a great year last year.
No, he didn't, but they did underperform their Pythagorean theorem. They should have won more games than what they did. So that kind of told you that they were building going into this year. So we'll see if Sam Darnold can keep up what he's been doing. That's my biggest question with that team. Green Bay is another team that did cover for us, and they made it out with all their kneecaps, and they won straight up. So that's team number 2. They won straight up. Mm-hmm. And we said last week the downgrade from Green Bay numbers was slight, but Vegas was telling you not to sell their stock. After they got boat raced by New Orleans, and they even raised that spread after that happened. So Vegas was telling you, hey, Green Bay is going to be okay. The next team was the Giants. They did cover. They were one offsides penalty away from winning that game. I don't even know if the guy was offsides. Whatever. There's a couple of those calls this weekend.
Yeah.
And then the last team that did cover and did win, that was team number 3 that won. We told you 3 would win. So we had 5 cover and 3 win, was Chicago. Now, the rookie came in and almost coughed up the game. And even though everybody in Chicago wants him to play over Dalton, and from a fan's perspective, I get it, right? I mean, rookie quarterbacks inspire hope. Dalton doesn't inspire anything except, I don't know, the hair clip or something. That guy has a great head of hair. Man. I mean, it's fantastic. There's no debate about that. Probably best hair in the entire league. I don't know who you could say was better.
How is it redder? It's getting more red.
I don't know if it's just because the backdrop of the city of Chicago, everything's a little paler up there because it's cold. I don't know. But it's gotten flaming red, like a comic book character at this point. But just the flow of that, I mean, just the faux hawk. I mean, it's magnificent.
I'm blown away by the hair.
If anybody, what's that?
I'm blown away by that hair. Just blown away.
Oh, my God. So I get that he doesn't inspire anything with my boy, and that everybody wants, Fields to play. But, he didn't look ready. He had a QBR of 4. That was the worst in the league. I mean, Zach Wilson threw 4 interceptions. He had an 8. He was twice as good as Fields. But yet everybody wants Fields to play. And again, I'm not a scout, and maybe Fields will be great. I don't know. We're all going to find out together in time. But here's what I do know, Choppy. And fans get lost in this, and it's always funny to me. Like, what I do know is Matt Nagy, for whatever you want to say about him, that dude has forgotten more about coaching football and offense than any of us will ever know. None of us will ever coach in the NFL. None of you sitting at home watching this will ever coach in the NFL.
No.
So if you think that, you know better than the head coach of the team of who should play quarterback, I think that's kind of foolish. I understand it. You're a fan and you get emotional and you just want to see the new guy. So I get it. I do get it. But all I'm saying is I don't understand how you could legitimately think that, especially when you saw him play. And let's not forget the fans of Chicago are delusional anyway. I'm old enough to remember that after Mitchie Boy's preseason game, they were calling him 10 God. That was his name. And then they couldn't run that dude out of town fast enough. So fans are fickle, right? And Fields is the toast of the town right now. If he keeps putting up 4s, he's not going to be for long. That I can promise you.
Yeah, no, Chicago
so to recap,
Chicago's not the best place in the world for for somebody who is struggling. Chicago, Philadelphia, New York, etc.
Yeah.
They will let you know. So let's recap this up.
All right. So to recap, we told you bet these 7 teams blind, go 4-3 historically. You would have went 5-2. And if you couple that with our college free picks, you had a 6-3 ATS card last week, Choppy. That's 67% we handed out right here for free on this very program, and all you had to do was watch. That's not a bad deal right there, baby.
No, that's free money right there. That's good stuff. Okay, so that's a look back at last week. We will take a look ahead at what happens this week. on the Football 401k. And plus, we've got our best bets of the weekend still to come. I'm RJ Choppy. He is Bo Repka. This is the Football 401k.
Before there was a draft, you could size up a cowboy by 3 simple factors: the crease in his hat, the bend of his brim, and his unbending attitude. A man's Stetson didn't just protect him from what life threw at him, it projected a rugged, unstoppable spirit. Stetson hats are still American-made with pride right here in Texas. They're still the unofficial crown of all self-respecting cowboys, and Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find a retailer nearest you at stetson.com/cowboys.
The Cowboys way, where 16 Hall of Famers and 5 championships shows us what success looks like. Where turkey is always the second best part of Thanksgiving Day. Where we are all defined by one single thing, the star. Where we as fans know it's our job to keep the tradition going. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys and to support the quest of living life the Cowboys way.
Copyright 2020, Bank of America Corporation.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
Honey, big news.
Gary, are you okay?
Oh, I'm not Gary anymore. I'm Jackie Flash.
What?
See, I want the latest smartphone, but the best deals are only for new customers. So, to get a new customer deal, I changed my name to Jackie Flash.
Okay, but the best smartphone deals at AT&T are for everyone, new and existing customers.
That's huge. Then guess who's getting a deal?
Is it Jackie Flash?
Jackie Flash.
It's not complicated. At AT&T, our best smartphone deals are for everyone. Restrictions apply. Visit att.com for details.
Back to Football 401k.
Welcome back to the Football 401k. I'm RJ Choppy. He is Bo Repka. We just looked back at last week. Let's look ahead, Bo, and what we have at the week ahead. There are a lot of games in the National Football League that are of interest to us in this week, is there not?
Yeah, there's a lot. And the reason why is because our power rankings have started out so accurate this year. I usually it takes a couple weeks for the data to kind of come in. This week, man, we started on fire. There's been 29 what we consider gradable games, or a side that you would bet based on a delta. 29 out of the first, 32. And we're 17-12 in those 29 games. That's 58.6%. If you bet every single game, and Choppy, you can't make a living betting every single NFL game. So I will challenge anyone, anywhere in the world to beat that record right there, betting every game, because you ain't going to do it.
No, you're not. You can't. You can pick every NFL game, and you will be picking against yourself at the end of the year. Like you're just not. There's a reason these buildings are so big in Vegas. You can't pick against the NFL.
No, not you. You know, NFL, you got to pick your spots, just like in college. But the thing is, it's all relative. So we do more volume in college, we're doing NFL, but that's because there's, more games. That's why. Mm-hmm. But we stay within a certain percentage of the games we play and the games that are played. And that's really where the sweet spot comes in of us winning money at the clip that we want to win money at. But I just wanted to throw that out there that we could have played every game and been up 5 units. That's pretty dang good.
Yeah, that's very, very good. All right, so what kind of games we have this week in the look ahead?
There's few. So Bills -9 versus Washington. The computer likes Washington here. And Choppy, what are your thoughts right now on both of these teams? We've seen 2 games versus kind of what you expected headed into the season.
I like Taylor Heineke. Washington's defense isn't as good as we thought it was, and that was predictable because defenses regress year to year. That was just, the regression bowl. And that's what this game is. Buffalo, Washington. This is the regression bowl.
I love it. The Heineken regression bowl. I like it.
Yeah. Because let's face it, Josh Allen regressing as well.
Oh my God. So that's what is kind of has me stuck on like the computer speak Washington and this reason right here. Like you said, the defense has not played lights out like it did last year. Like you said, very predictable in that. But here's the thing about Josh Allen. So Josh Allen in 2018 was 30th in EPA plus CPOE. he was 21st in 2019. In 2020, he was third, MVP level, right behind Rodgers, right up there with Rodgers. But now, so far, he's 24th through 2 games. So you got to ask yourself, what is the truth about Josh Allen? Is it 2 years plus 2 games that he is a below average quarterback, in fact, a bottom third in the league quarterback? Or is it the 1 year of 16 games where he's an MVP? I don't know. I usually kind of finds its water level somewhere in between, but if he's an average quarterback, which is kind of what that grades out to, then Buffalo is not a Super Bowl contender, period, because their defense stinks. They can't run the ball. And if he's not going to be Superman, if he's not going to lead them in rushing and, throw 4,500 yards, they're an average football team. If you look now, I love their coach and I love how they're building the roster, but they're not there yet. So, of course, the computer's going to like Washington. All the underlying they likes Washington. And again, if Allen comes out this week and is back to the MVP level and toast this Washington defense, okay, all bets are off because Heineken's not going to be able to sustain a shootout with this offense, right? That's just not going to happen. They're not built for that. But if Washington come out, run the ball like they've been doing the first couple games, play, get back to maybe an average defense, and maybe they get healthy because of Buffalo and how bad Josh Allen's playing. I don't know, but definitely looking at Washington on that one.
Okay, so Washington, and they're getting 9?
9.
Man, that's a high number. That's a really, really high number for me to give up on that one. What other games do you like this week in terms of just, you see some of these lines are like, ooh, these stand out.
Yeah, so Browns -7 versus the Bears. This grades out as a 0 delta for me, or for us, so no play here. But it also tells me that Vegas is expecting Andy to play, because this line would be likely more than like 9 or 10 if it was Fields. So
wait a second. Hang on. I just got this in the notification box.
Uh-oh.
Justin Fields will make his first start Monday. Sunday.
Oh, wow. Sunday. What is the line? Has the line moved yet?
I have not. No, this literally just came out a couple minutes ago.
So I would be willing to bet that this line moves to, like, say, closer. I was just about to say, if you like Justin Fields and you think he might start, hang in there. Hang in there. Don't bet it yet. Don't bet it at the 7. Let your points come in. Like, sucker them in. Sucker Vegas in, if you think Fields is the man. But what I was going to say, as this write-up has now become irrelevant, if you like Cleveland, you better bet it now. Well, I guess you better bet it now because we just found out that Fields is going to play. This number's going to go up. You're going to have to lay more points. You don't really want to do that with a high variance, rookie like what Fields is going to be, because you honestly don't know what he is yet. Nobody knows what he is yet. He could be great. He could stink. You want to lay as little possible points to that as you can.
Well, let me ask you this. You this. What does the number have to be for you to bet Chicago and Fields?
I'd have to get to 10. I'd have to get to 10.
Yeah.
If it got to 10, I'd feel pretty good because Baker, he's been very, very efficient this year, but he's thrown 1 touchdown pass in 2 games. And this is going to be the best defense he's faced DVOA-wise by a mile. He's faced 2 of the worst defenses in the league, and he's thrown 1 touchdown. But he hasn't looked bad. I'm not saying he's looked bad, but he's not been explosive. They're not putting up a ton of points, and against the Chicago defense, it's been pretty good this year so far. Yeah, I'd like 10. I'd like 10 in a rookie. Maybe roll the dice there.
Okay. Very nice. Very nice. Let's take a look at Baltimore versus Detroit. This is an interesting one because Baltimore could be 2-0 very easily. They had a tough loss to the Raiders, and then they kind of had a lucky, I don't want to say a lucky win, but a comeback win against the Chiefs that if you were to run that game back, give the Chiefs the same 11-point lead 100 more times, 99 more times, they probably win 97 of those games.
At least. Yeah.
Detroit, meanwhile, has looked really bad at times this year, and then they've also looked like they're a semi-competent football team. And I want, Dan Campbell's maybe he's stabilizing things. Jared Goff looks like he's stabilizing things at times, and then it started to rain. Once it started to rain, he went to crap because he's got those little tiny hands. He needs to wear a glove. No, he needs to rock a glove. Yeah. How do you like this game shaking up?
So the computer does like the Lions here. And
have the Lions been upgraded at all in the system? Even though they're 0-2, they played a good half. They played a close game against San Fran.
No, because overall it gets to be too much. The landslide of stats against them just becomes too much. But they haven't been downgraded either, which is the biggest thing for an 0-2 team. If you're not downgraded 0-2, that means you're probably doing some things right. And the lines are, like you said, and you're getting 1 point of value here from the opening line, where it was. Baltimore has gone up to where it was 7.5. Now it's 8.5. And quite frankly, Baltimore's so beat up. So, I mean, if the Lions are looking to bite their kneecaps, they're running out of kneecaps to bite, right? They're way down there on the depth chart. Now, I know in a one-game situation like what was in Kansas City, Lamar is a special enough player. He can put the whole team on his back and say, we're not going to lose tonight. Somehow, some way, I'm going to find a way. I don't care if I have to run it 100 times. We're going to go, and we're going to go win this football game. But that kind of effort is not sustainable week in and week out. So you got to wonder against the Lions team, who they're clearly better than, even with all the injuries, is that same effort going to be, is that max all-out effort going to be there because they just need a win? They just need to get through the game. NFL teams don't get paid to cover, right? It'd be a lot easier to bet these games if they did, but they don't, right? They just get paid to win. So is that going to take over? Now, here's what I will say about that. In a normal situation, I would say, yeah, 100%. This is why you play Detroit, 100%. This is a different situation. This John Harbaugh cat, he's a different dude, man. This dude has won 19 straight preseason games. He does not like to lose football games in any circumstance, and he doesn't only want to win, he wants to win big. And like we told you about Army last week, Baltimore's offense is built just like a veer triple option. That's literally what they do. And with that kind of offense, you can just do what you do and run up the score naturally because they can't stop you. You're built so well, you execute so well, nobody can stop you. And here's one other thing that would worry me about taking the Lions here is Lamar in his career, I should say since 2019, since he's become a full-time starter, he's had 14 games where he's been favored by 8 or more. He's 9-5 ATS in those games. So when he's supposed to win big, he does win big. And I think that's a product of his coach being a bully, number one. And number two, I think it's a product of how that's the offense they built. Like I said, it doesn't matter. They can't really take a playoff. They can't really take a series off because the plays they call, they're coming to hit you in the mouth. And that's just what they do. Like there is no kind of spare plays for them. Like some teams don't have. They got their A plays, their B plays. They don't have any B plays. They just go. Yeah. So, but the computers do like the Lions, but that's what would scare me about taking them.
Welcome back to the Football 401k. RJ Choppy from 105 through the Fan, Bo Repka, Football Glory Hole. And let's do a little rapid fire look ahead at the week that we have here. 17-12 against the spread on all the gradable games so far this season. That's around 57.5%, 58%. Yep. That'll make you some money over the course of a season. You're not gonna cry over that one. That's pretty good.
That is pretty dang good, and I challenge anybody to do better than that grade in 29 games out of 32 so far.
Yeah, if you're doing better than that, you're one of two things. You're either lucky or lying.
Or either both.
One. Yeah, or both, which, look, I'm comfortable with lying to people. I generally try to do that as much as I possibly can. But, all right, let's just rapid fire down these games. Buffalo, Washington. This was a 9-point spread by Buffalo, and that's already been bet down a little bit, hasn't it?
All the way down to 7.5. I grabbed it at 9 as soon as I could. The computer still like Washington here. And the reason why is if you look at the difference between 7.5 right now, Washington and Buffalo, preseason total, Vegas was expecting Buffalo to be 4.5 points ahead of Washington, or 2.5 points ahead of Washington. Right now, this line is telling you they're closer to 4 points ahead of Washington. You're still getting value here. There's no way you could upgrade Buffalo this much or downgrade a Washington football team that much. And the biggest thing to me is Josh Allen. 2018 Choppy, he was 30th in EPA plus CPOE, 21st in 2019, 3rd in 2020 MVP level, right? He's 24th again so far this year. So are you going to believe 2 seasons plus 2 games of Josh Allen being a below average, even bottom third quarterback? Or are you going to believe 1 season of MVP level? That's the biggest question in this one.
Yeah, I call this the regression bowl, both of these. This is, Josh is going to regress a little bit. And we knew the Washington defense was going to regress a little bit. Defenses don't kind of stabilize themselves year to year unless you're like one of those all-time great, tight Legion of Boom, Baltimore Ravens, type defenses. So I like this. I like this pick a lot. Cleveland, Chicago. Cleveland started out with a 7. How did the line move when Justin Fields got put in, if it moved at all? Because he is now the starter.
It didn't move 1 inch, Choppy. So you're getting huge value here on Cleveland because this game was 7 before the season kicked off. It was 7 before the week kicked off, and it's 7 now that the announcement's been made. So there was no pre-bake-in, as we kind of sometimes see when Vegas kind of figures the quarterback's going to be out. None of that. So what Vegas is telling you is Andy Dalton and Justin Fields are equal to the spread, and that is not true. That's insane. There's no stats to say that that's true. There's nothing to say that's true. Justin Fields had a QBR 4 last week. Your boy Zach Wilson had an 8, and he threw 4 picks. So he was 100% better than Justin Fields last week. There's no way they're equal. Huge value here on the Browns. Now, however, if you are a Bears fan or you like the pick, you want to back this pick, here's one thing to give you some positivity, I guess I would say. If you're going to ever bet a dog, there's only 2 reasons to bet it in Vegas. Is because you're looking for variance, period. There's 2 big main reasons where you get variance. One is the number is off. Right, that's why you bet a dog. You believe the number to be off. Number 2, the variance of the game itself. And Choppy, there is nothing that brings higher variance in the NFL than a rookie quarterback or your boy Jameis Winston. That's about it.
Yeah,
right? You never know which Jameis you get. And with a rookie quarterback, they can be great or they can be terrible. And it is a huge gap between both. So if you like a dog, it's always because of variance. This is a high variance game. He could go out to be magnificent. He could go out there and put up another 4 and they get beat by 40. So
yeah, really good in this one. And that's interesting because, rookie quarterbacks making their first start. I mean, we don't need to tell you that they don't usually fare very well in that week 1, that first start they have. So it's an interesting game. Lions in Baltimore. This thing was like 8.5. And, what are the Lions? I mean, the Lions can play good for a half. They put 2 good halves together, and they put 2 crappy halves together. And I think that's why the Lions are the Lions, and they're just not a very good football team. Jared Goff is a, stable quarterback, but he's not going to win you a ton of games, I don't think. I like Jared Goff more than most people. But, they're giving away or they're getting more than a touchdown against a Ravens team that is they could beat Kansas City or they could blow a game to the Raiders. I don't know.
Yeah, computers like this game. I like this game. I like the Lions plus the 8. You are getting at least 1 point of value here towards the Lions. This is a more low variance game, right? Both teams are known commodities. You know what they're going to do. You know what the Ravens want to do. And that's the only thing that gives me pause in this game. So devil's advocate, if you look on the Ravens side, Lamar Jackson, when he is favored by 8 or more points since 2019, so since he became the regular starter, he is 9-5 ATS and favored by 8 or more. So when he gets to be a big favorite and he's expected to win, they go win because if Vegas is expecting to be that big a favorite, there's no variance to what Baltimore does. Vegas knows what Baltimore does. We all know what Baltimore does. And if Vegas said, yeah, they're going to do that and they're going to win by more than a touchdown, they usually do more times than not. So that's what gives me pause on it. But I do like the line. There's no way you can't like the lines with the number and the value. But again, will it be a top play? I don't know. The computer does like the Lions.
Have the Lions been downgraded at all? Because their preseason win total was like 5, and they're still on track for hitting the under. But have they been downgraded?
They haven't been downgraded. They haven't been upgraded, like you said. They played 2 good halves and 2 bad halves. In other words, they are who we thought they were. Right,
that's
going into the season. So they're not a good football team. Overall, they haven't been a good football team, but they have not been like at Atlanta level surprise terrible. So that's the reason why they have not been downgraded, but obviously haven't been upgraded either.
All right, Jags, Arizona. Jags getting, 7.5?
7.5. So this is a 5-point line move from the original set. All downgraded on Jacksonville. Here's what I got to say about this game. Jacksonville is what is in the falling knife position. So in the world of finance and stock market, that is trying to catch a stock at its very, very lowest. It's called trying to catch a falling knife. It's very, very hard to do and not get cut, right? And Choppy, I remember this from last year. The Cowboys were in this position I think they were favored, or they were dogs with 13 or 15 to the Steelers. When the Steelers were like 10-0, 9 or 10-0. And you text me and ask me, how is this the biggest dog the Cowboys have ever been? And it was like third biggest. I think they were like 18 or 19 points, like in the 80s sometime or some point, or maybe Quincy was scored. I don't remember. Anyway, we were trying to say, okay, is this the end of it? Is this the falling knife we can catch? We did bet the Cowboys that week, and they did. Obviously, they almost won the game, and they definitely covered the big spread. So Jacksonville's in that position. If you try to catch them too early, you're going to get cut, but if you wait too much for the bounce back, you're going to lose your value too. It's a very, very tough game to bet at this point.
All right, Kansas City and the Chargers. Chargers, looked really good against Washington. Their offense looked good against the Cowboys. They just didn't score points. It was what I call a fake low-scoring game, Cowboys and the Chargers. But the Chiefs just don't cover anymore.
Yeah, they don't cover. They're 2-11 in the last 13 ATS. And it's funny you mentioned the fake low-scoring game because there was quite a handle on the over there in Vegas, and all of a sudden they're yellow field to field. I'm not saying, I'm just saying, sometimes games go a certain way for certain reasons, and that game should have been very high scoring, like you said, but every time anybody made a play, we had some laundry on the field. So that was interesting to me. Overall, there's a little bit of value here to the Chargers. I mean, I don't know how you can bet the Chiefs at this point. They're 2-11 in the last 13 against the spread. Now, they're a great football team. They've got the best player in football, and there's no doubt about that. But him by himself without, a defense that could stop anybody is not good enough to cover these big numbers they keep playing. So it's either Chargers or pass for me.
How we deal with this Pittsburgh-Cincy game with Ben's injury?
Yeah, that one's a tricky one. I think the downgrade is proper on that. It's still got a little bit of value actually to Pittsburgh just because since he's been upgraded so much in the public, and Joe Burrow, again, he's below average if you look at advanced analytics. Like I know everybody in Cincy wants to believe they want him to be great, and he hasn't been bad, right? He's been right where a guy with less than 15 starts should be. So not dogging the kid at all, but again, it's been a little bit false upgrade on it. But if Ben really it comes out of it, if TJ Watt can't go, I'm out on this game because that dude is pretty much their whole defense. He's the motor that makes it run. If that guy's out, I'm out.
Let's keep looking at some of these look-ahead games. Vegas and Miami, no Tua. Tua for Vegas and Miami. And I have not seen a line change in this at all, which tells me that Vegas looks at Tua and Brissett as the same?
Well, this one actually moved 3.5 from the original number. So I think this one's one of the ones we said like earlier that was baked in. They weren't expecting Tua to play.
Gotcha.
3.5. Okay. Now it's 4. So it's moved another half point after confirmation. But that would mean that Tua is 3.5 points better than Brissett. And that's just not true. Tua has been one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. If you look at all the advanced analytics, he's not even an average starter for our ATS rankings. Him and Brissett are right about even in our ATS rankings. And if you think that's crazy, right now they're ranked 30th and 31st in CPOE plus EPA, and they're like hundreds of a point apart. So he just hasn't been that good. He hasn't been that much of a game changer. Now, Jacoby Brissett's not a good quarterback. Let's not say that he's great, but the downgrade here has been so severe. You're getting value on Miami, and here is a trend, probably the trend of the week here, Choppy. Since 2015, teams coming off a shutout loss, which Miami just came off of, are 25-2 ATS. 80% they hit against the spread the next week. That's a pretty strong trend. That's 27 games and 6 years worth of data. So it's kind of hard to buck that, and eventually you're going to get that Vegas letdown. Now it's going to be this week. Who knows? But I have to lean Miami here.
Okay. All right. I mean, I don't know that Tua's 3.5 points better than air at this point. I'll tell you this, though. I am bullish on Vegas. I think they are a good team, man. This is the game of the week. Rams, Tampa. It's basically a pick 'em. Whoever you think is going to win the game, bet that team. And Tampa's only a 1-point favorite?
Yeah, 1.5, depending on which book you look at. So this line has moved 1.5 to 2 points to Tampa Bay from the open, and I'm not sure it's justified, right? Both teams are 2-0. Both teams are 1-1 against the spread. The computers are firmly on the Rams here. However, my one word of caution on this, and this is a good trend, probably not as good as a shutout trend, but Tom Brady in his career as an underdog or laying less than 2.5 points is 39-13 ATS. That's 75% that he covers when it's basically a 50-50 game. So take it with a grain of salt for what it's worth, but I don't think Tampa Bay is going 17-0. And if they're going to lose a game, this is definitely one of those that is a losable game for sure.
And they lost last year to Jared Goff.
They did.
Tampa did. And you know, like maybe the Rams defense was better last year.
I mean, they're number 3 or 4, I think, right now in DVOA. They've been really good. They continue to be really good.
They should have lost to Indy. You know, they should have lost that game. But, you know, if you think the Rams are better this year, and a lot of people do, and Tampa's defense is as what it was last season, then this would be on that Rams side. The 2-0, 0-2 team, also known as the Minnesota Vikings, against the 1-1 / should be 2-0 team, Seattle. Minnesota getting a pair.
Yeah, so this line's moved 3.5 points to Seattle, and the underlying data does not support it. Minnesota should be, you say 2-0, they should absolutely be 1-1, and not just because of the missed field goal. Any square could see that. It's actually some underlying data called win share percentage, and I'm going to get into the calculation, but anyway, basically what it's saying is they should at least have one win within the 2 games combined, so they should be 1-1. Minnesota is at home. They're desperate. They have an above-average quarterback, and I don't care what you think about whatever's Kirk Cousins.
He's above average.
He's an above-average NFL quarterback, period. And Seattle is bottom 3rd in the league in rushing DVOA defense. Minnesota wants to run the ball. They ran for 177 last week against Arizona, and that's why they look so much better. That's why they stayed in that game. It's why they should have won that game. And Arizona has the 10th best DVOA defense against the run so far, and that's with that 177 yards against them. So I see pretty big value in the Vikings right here.
All right, and finally, you know, I think the Cowboys are massively undervalued this year, which is odd because the Cowboys don't usually get undervalued in Vegas. But you know, their line against Philly is between 3.5 and 4. That to me means they think Philly is better than the early season, or the Cowboys are not better than the early season, which I don't know how you can see this Cowboy team and thought they were the same old Cowboys. This team played the champs to within a point at the end. They had a 1-point lead, I should say, and then they beat everybody's darling Charger team.
Yeah, I mean, this game has moved 3 points to Philly. And so now it's saying Dallas 2 wins better than Philly on the season. That's a whole win downgrade from the preseason projection. Dallas was over-under was 9.5. Philly was 6.5. Now they're saying they're within 2 games of each other. Now the computers are split on this because Philly does have some pretty good underlying data so far through 2 games. However, we had San Francisco last week because we thought Philly was getting overvalued. San Francisco go in there and cover 3.5, their second game on the road, which they did. They dominated that game overall. I still think Philly's getting overvalued. I don't know if it's the Cowboys getting undervalued or Philly getting overvalued. I got to think it's got to be Philly getting overvalued, to be honest with you, because the Cowboys do not get, and you and I have talked about it, and it's crazy. We talk about it off the air all the time. The Cowboys are not getting the love that they usually get in the Vegas marketplace. They're just not. And I don't know if that generation has passed there where they just don't get the overinflation. Maybe that's where we're at. It's an interesting thought going forward. But it's got to be – they're not getting – I won't say they got downgraded at all, but Philly is getting upgraded, and I think it's a little bit fraudulent. Cowboys minus 3.5 looks tasty. If it keeps going down, you get the Cowboys minus 3. Whew, man, we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens there. Okay, that is our look ahead at this week coming up in the National Football League. We got our best bets still to come, college football, pizza money parlay, and an NFL player prop. It's all coming up on the Football 401k. Welcome back to the Football 401k. I'm RJ Choppy. He is Bo Repka, and we got a little best bets action in college football. We got a NFL player prop to give you as well, plus the pizza money parlay. First up, Auburn against Georgia State. Georgia State, man, that was a tough game for my Tennessee Volunteers a couple years ago. Don't want to talk about that one. I don't see Auburn pulling the same kind of crap the Vols did, but let's take a look at Georgia State here in Auburn.
boys and girls, if you can't tell, the love runs deep, and so does the hatred. It's love.
You had to
hate
put this in there, didn't you? You had to put a Georgia State game in there.
Sometimes we do things on purpose. But anyway, Auburn minus 27 versus Georgia State. This line, Choppy, should be 34. And you have to ask yourself, anytime you bet a big favorite, are they going to be motivated to cover? Right? Well, Auburn's coming off that tough loss to Penn State, so they should be looking to get healthy here. Now, there is a look-ahead factor to LSU next week. But Georgia State is so bad, they lost 59-17 at UNC with the exact same spread this week. Obviously, they didn't cover. UNC is ranked lower in our power rankings than Auburn is by a few points, and I believe they're 23 and 24 respectively in the polls right now, so they're pretty close to each other. Extreme value here on Auburn, and I think the look ahead's getting a little bit too much factored into this point. That's why I think you're getting the value here. But yeah, I think Auburn goes and covers War Eagle, baby.
All right. What about La Tech in North Texas? The Mean Green 12-point dogs to La Tech.
Oh, La Tech. We had them on the money line last week, and we got our hearts broken on a Hail Mary. Whew. Sometimes, boys and girls, this is the hardest easy living you'll ever make right here is betting on football, I promise you. But anyway, La Tech minus 12 versus UNC. We liked them last week. We had them plus the 12 versus SMU. They obviously did cover. We liked them to win. Didn't quite do that for us. But this week is a 25-point turnaround from dog to favorite, and that's still not enough. UNC is not even in the top 120 if you even knew there was 120 teams ranked in our power rankings. And La Tech still has a hope alive for a conference title. They will put that bad loss behind them, and Choppy, so will we. And, of course, we have a soft spot for La Tech because they have the same mascot as the football glory hole. So go Bulldogs.
All right. Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. Finally, finally in college, the Pizza Money Parlay, $10 to win $444 on a 6-teamer. Gotta love it. Who are the teams?
The Moses Malone, baby. BC plus 115 money line. Northwestern minus 700 money line. Arizona State minus 650 money line. Texas Tech plus 275 money line. Tulane minus 190 money line. Ball State plus 180 money line. And we do the money dance, baby, if this one hits.
Man, that's big. 10 for 444, 44.5 to 1. I mean, that's just really, really good. All right, how about NFL? Any player props, any regular games you want to give out?
So this is an obscure one, but it's our favorite one of the week. It's our player prop, and my buddy James at the Football Glory Hole, he comes up with these each week, and he's pretty darn good at them. His favorite one this week is Ian Thomas, tight end for Carolina, over 6.5 receiving yards. Not catches, just receiving yards. Now, Houston has been torched by tight ends so far, giving up 177 yards on 20 total targets in 2 games. Thomas has 4 targets through 2 games, and he's got a career yards per catch of 8.6. That means he only needs 1 catch on average to hit, and Darnold has been averaging 36.5 attempts per game. That's a lot of chances to get 1 ball thrown his way. So best bet, Ian Thomas over 6.5 receiving yards.
Gosh, I love that. 6.5 yards. I mean, that's a gimme. It's 1 catch.
1 catch, baby.
You don't need 10 for 190. It's 1 catch. I mean, he can have a ball that's tipped that goes right to his hands.
Anything.
Oh, in on this one. Okay. So Auburn minus 27, La Tech minus 12, 16 Pizza Money Parlay, 10 to win 444. BC, Northwestern, Arizona State, Texas Tech, Tulane, Ball State, all on the money line. And then our player prop in the National Football League, some tight end named Ian Thomas, who I'm told plays for Carolina, over 6.5 receiving yards for the game. Bo, where can we find you online and such?
You guys can find us at thefootballgloryhole.com. You can find us on Twitter at FGHVegas, and you can find our podcast, The Football Glory Hole Podcast, anywhere, and I mean anywhere you find podcasts.
I'm RJ Choppy. Catch me weekdays, Monday through Friday, 105 through the Fan with Sean Sharif and myself. It is the Sean and RJ Show, 5:30 to 10 a.m. Also on Saturday afternoons on the Odyssey app on the BetQL radio network from 11 to 3. BetQL in the action. And then on Twitter at RJ Choppy. For Bo, I'm RJ. It's been episode, number 4, week 3 of the NFL season of the Football 401k. Let's win some money. We'll talk to you next week.